Hello everybody, Keith here again. Been a little while, but they've been changing my meds, and it's not been a great experience. I had a bit of a relapse, so I've not been feeling very good for the last couple of weeks, but that is now sorting itself out. So, what are we doing now then? So I've got some repots to do. One of them is ready, the other one is way overdue, and this one I doing ages ago and I've just not been up to it. I really haven't. So this is my Zygos Rhine Blue Angel. Not looking very happy at all. I suspect I'm not going to find many roots in that. And this is one of my species Zygos. This is Zygos Repotted. In fact, I think it's my only species Zygo. This is Zygos Repotted, which is not looking too bad, but it's not looking great. But we have got quite clearly a lot of roots in there. Somebody did tell me these are an absolute root monster, but it's not right. Both of these, the last time they were potted, and this was done just over a year ago, and that was done about a year ago. So this one April, that one August. So, you know, but they've both been done in the Westland compost. And the problem with the Westland compost, I find, is it's got a lot of fines in it, and it tends to wash down into the bottom of the pot. And it then starts to clog the drainage up, and I've had problems with this for a while. So basically I've abandoned that, so I'm going to try, knowing that these want a bit more moisture than some, I'm going to try putting some moss into it, which might mean I'm going to end up having to repot more frequently. But basically I'm going to try and do a moss mix and just see how we get on, because this is not good enough, nowhere near good enough for it. So I'm going to shut off for now. I'll get everything ready and then we'll come back and have a look at it. Okay, back again. If you can hear any buzzing noises, my neighbour's having had some work done on a tree, and they're busy cutting the remains up with a chainsaw. But as this has got to be done urgently, really, and I've got stuff to do for the rest of the week, this is going to have to get done now, and I'm afraid we're just going to have to put up with it. Right, I'll start with the Cranitum because it's the better plant. It feels like this pot is pretty solid. I hope so. But as I say, the trouble is the Westland compost. The first few bags I had, you know, going back 4 or 5 years, were very good. But just lately, there's a lot more fines in it, and you can probably see there, I suspect, where are we? No, yes, there we go. I think you can see there's an awful lot of fines in that, and that's not doing the drainage any good at all. And it's probably just, well, these things do like to be on the damp side, but it's not ideal. But we have got some roots. I don't know how good they actually are. We have got some new roots just at the top there, so that's good. There's actually quite a lot of new roots, and some of these old ones down in the bottom. So this one, I think, is fairly easily rescued, but it's not good. It really isn't good. So, as I say, this is one he's doing for a while, but I've just not felt up to doing this. One of the issues I've had is when when they reduced the amount of steroids I was taking, and a lot of the symptoms came back. Apparently, I've learnt from a friend who also has autoimmune problems, that if you push it off a little bit too much, it can absolutely wipe you out. That's pretty much what's been happening. I've been trying to carry on as normal, and I'd get to early afternoon, sit in a chair after lunch with a cup of coffee, and I'd be nodding at best or fast asleep at worst in no time, and I'd probably sleep for half an hour to an hour, and then a lot of the afternoon's gone. So it's not been great. Anyway, I've been to the hospital today, and we've agreed a course of treatment going forward, which I hope is going to sort this lot out. Eventually, but they're going to take me off steroids. Apparently long-term steroid use is not good for you, so they're going to put me onto something else, which is an immune system suppressor, and they give me some bump for it. I've got to have some counselling before I start taking it, and it doesn't sound like wonderful stuff. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to soak that plant for a while. I'm going to go and clean that pot up, because it's probably a good, pretty decent size for the thing. I'm going to use this medium bark from Burnham's. Hope you can see that fairly well. It's fairly small stuff. You wouldn't want for ordinary orchids much smaller. I'm going to put in, I don't know, perhaps 20% of moss. I'm not going to put a lot in. You can get yourself in a terrible muddle if you're not careful. So again, I'm going to shut off for a minute, and then we'll come back and have another go. Right, I think I'm ready to start this. The roots were in quite a good condition. There are bits which are not very good, but even in the middle we've got some new root tips showing. So there's a good plant here, even if it did want doing some time ago. I put a bit less moss in this than I thought I would, but I have done something I don't normally do, which is chop the moss into very small pieces in the hope it will distribute itself all the way through the bark rather than sit in clumps. So I'm going to start off by putting some fairly coarse bark in the bottom to crock it. That's a good start, isn't it? Well, Keith, let's say brains were dynamite, I wouldn't have enough to blow my hat off. And that's pretty well in there, I think. So I think it's going to be a case of doing the usual thing and trying to prod and poke some of this medium down there. I don't know whether I'll have enough, but I'm pretty sure if I've got some moss down into the bottom of this. It probably won't matter too much if I just put some bark on. What I don't want to do is have it too low in the pot, because of the way it's growing. But I get the impression that this likes to have its pseudobulbs at the surface rather than buried, although I think they will take some burial. I've got a Louisendorf hybrid that definitely doesn't rot the pseudobulb if it's buried, but I've got other plants where that very much is the case, and like my Psychopsis, if you get pseudobulbs wet, you know, I haven't got any stuff there, so it's going to be a case of just using some more of this stuff to finish it off now. It's just the usual orchid repotting thing, prod everything down, but I'm hoping with this one, as I say, now I've got some moss in there and it's just bark. I liked the Westland stuff initially when it didn't have autofines in. It worked brilliantly for my Catatanti because that drinks water like a fish, but right, I think that's going to do. We've got moss distributed fairly well throughout, I think. It's got a good root system underneath it. I doubt very much the other one's going to be the same. But that's a repot for Zygopetalum cranitum. And so on to the next. Back again a little later on. I've had a cup of coffee. Just while we get this thing done. As I say, I don't expect anything like the same amount of roots or state of roots or anything else as we got in the other one. Things are not good with this. We've got a few new roots in there, but honestly this is not looking very clever at all, and it's compared to the other one, this pot, and there we are, and there we are. All the roots are in there that were in there. So yeah, I have screwed up big time with this one. I pretty well knew I had. You know, it's a mess. But we have got a few bits of root. There's some there, look. So we might be able to get something back. I really don't know. But basically there's nothing in here. Very much that's worth worrying about. And I do hate it when I've let an orchid get into this state, but unfortunately, shall I say, I was distracted by other things. So we've got some new growths. They're not looking great, but each new growth is putting roots out. So I'll try and repot it. It ain't going back into that. It'll have to go into something smaller than that one. But you can see just by looking at the bottom of there, all this fine crud. Where are we? There we are. Come on, you brute, focus. There we are. I mean, that's really fine crud, so that's no good. So have I got something I can use? Might be big enough. because this has been a beautiful plant. No, that's not going to be big enough quite. Not quite. God, I wish I could see what I was doing. That says 93 mil, but I don't believe that for a second. Not that one. And the bit of luck we'll manage with that one, it's a lot shallower, because the last thing that I want to end up with is something that's retaining a lot of water. I mean, it's... The thing is, these pseudobulbs, for all the fact the roots are not very clever, are absolutely solid. There's no point in starting to hack pseudobulbs off. I don't think. I may be completely wrong, I'm not an expert by any stretch of the imagination, but it strikes me that these are storage organs, and if they are solid they're still working. And I have in the past sort of cut things away and ended up with cutting too much away, and then the reserves have gone. So I mean, that's just a seedling bulb, so that's no good. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to accept that's no good, but I think if we've got a bit of something hanging down in the pot, then there's a chance that it's going to dry out. Now, I know, just because you can see it happening, this is going to be too small before very long. If it gets going again, if it actually kicks on, then you know, we're in with a chance of getting somewhere. But I'd rather repot it relatively quickly than put it in something that's too big. So what we end up with is something that's in too big a pot, because orchids really don't like that. We all know that one. So, like I did last time, I'm going to get prepped. I'm going to chop some moss up and get some of that Burns medium bark again, and we'll go from there. But as I say, it's going to be, I suspect it could be touch and go with this one, but you never know. Sometimes when you are looking at these things, you can have a really poor orchid and you can repot it, and all of a sudden you rebalance the pH and all the rest of it, and it drains properly, and they can really kickstart. So let's hope for that. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I suspect I'm going to end up staking this, with there being so little root on it. I've done exactly the same with this that I did with the other one. I've cropped it with some very coarse bark, and all I can really do is hope I can get it so that at least some of this new growth will come onto it. I mean, this pot is probably still a little bit on the small side. And as I said earlier on, I think I will undoubtedly have to move it to another pot with luck, because it's outgrown this one fairly quickly. But I really do not want to end up with this sitting in a pot that the roots can't get to the bottom. That is begging for trouble. I know that, I've done it. I had several Phalaenopsis that had magnificent root systems, and I thought, oh, they look good, yeah, I'll be alright with those. And I put them in very deep pots expecting the roots to go down. They appeared to be that kind of length, but when it came down to it, they weren't drawing enough moisture up. It festered a bit in the bottom, that's about all you can call it. And they went backwards. I didn't pick it up soon enough. This is years ago. Didn't pick it up soon enough. And when I did get around to trying to repot it, that's going to have to be pushed out of the way. This is doing something I don't reckon I'm doing normally, but that new growth right on the very edge is over the edge, and I don't want that. That's a brand new growth, and it's trying to do something, so I'm trying to, if anything, push the plant back against the hard against the wall on the wall of the pot on the opposite side, and I'm really pushing in here. So actually that's pretty stable. That'll do as long as I'm careful. So this is Zygos here, although the Orchid Society experts who labelled it up for a show that it went into actually had it as a Zygopetalum Rhine Blue Angel, so presumably whatever the Ganessia part is has been pulled into Zygopetalum. But anyway, that's that one done, that's both of them, and now I can keep my fingers crossed that these will recover. This one, I don't know. Hopefully, there's plenty of reserves in there for new growths, but we can only wait and see. Anyway, thank you for watching. We'll just have to wait and see when I manage to get around to doing anything else. I can't do regular videos at the moment. I'm just not well enough. But I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye.